Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/Am I the Asshole, where OP refused to add an affair baby of a cheating wife to his will. Let's begin. Am I the asshole for telling my son that I will not include his son in my will unless he gets a paternity test? Posted by Reddit user Relative Goose.
I have two children, Adam and Sarah. This post is about my son, Adam. Adam got married 6 years ago to his wife, Jen. About 4 years ago, Adam and Jen separated because Jen cheated on him. She later told him she was pregnant and didn't know if the baby was his or not. Adam was planning on going through with the divorce and getting a paternity test when she gave birth, but he changed his mind when she gave birth. He decided he wanted to give her another chance and make their marriage work. He also decided not to get the paternity test because he thought it would create tension and resentment if he knew for certain that the child wasn't his. Let's call the child Billy. Their marriage has still been a shit show since. They break up and get back together every other day. He considers Billy his own son sometimes, but other times he calls him Jen's son. They're very dysfunctional and the entire family have told them to keep us out of their marriage. They would complain about everything to us when they had no intention of changing anything, so there's no point in them wasting our time with their constant complaints. Every year I update my will, not drastically, and sometimes I don't even change much at all, but I go over it with a lawyer and make changes if I want to. Adam knows this and randomly asked me a few days ago if I possibly added Billy to the will. I said I hadn't even considered it because I'm not sure if Billy is even my actual grandchild. Adam said any child he considers his son is automatically my grandchild. I said I don't agree with that under these circumstances. If he had met Jen when she already had a child and decided to be a father to the child, I would consider that child my grandchild if they got married. But Jen cheats on him, gets pregnant, and we don't even know if the child is my son's or not, and I'm meant to just roll with it. I said if he does a paternity test and finds out that Billy is actually his, I'll put him in the will. But right now, I won't. I actually adore Billy, don't get me wrong. But I've seen him a handful of times in his entire life. He is mostly being raised by Jen's parents who live in another city. My son isn't really raising him, and neither is Jen. They send money to Jen's parents to take care of him and visit them a couple of times a year. With the addition of Adam and Jen's relationship being extremely unstable with them breaking up every other day, I don't want to get involved in any way, and that includes adding a child I'm not even sure is my grandson to my will. I said I can contribute to his life financially in the form of paying for school and anything else he might need, but that's all I'm willing to do in this current situation. My son is very upset with me. I told him that I can remove part of his inheritance and make it Billy's inheritance if he insists, but he didn't want to make that compromise, so I told him that the discussion is over and he can't tell me what to do with my own assets.
OP, you could easily live 25 more years, so Adam needs to worry about taking care of himself and Billy instead of planning what happens to your money. It sounds to me that your son is an entitled brat. Either that or he's getting poisoned by his hoe wife. OP, I completely agree with your decision. Don't involve yourself in their toxicity and only include Billy if he's not an affair baby. You already offered to pay for his school. I think that's more than enough. And now for today's second story. My girlfriend's ex-husband has come out of jail. Am I overreacting? Posted by Reddit user Jeff Heap.
So I've been with my girlfriend for just over 2 years. The ex-husband was a cokehead and ended up going to jail for 3 years, as he was 16 times over the driving limit when he got pulled up on coke. The marriage was on the rocks a year or so before they split up. He basically filtered all their savings away sniffing drugs, and she only found out before it was too late and the money had gone. They split up, she moved out and he went to jail. Elle understood the situation and ran with it, and it's not been an issue until now. Now, the stipulation from his parole officer is that he has to be supervised, or in another adult's company while he sees the kids for a period of time, which is unknown until the parole officer is happy he is not using drugs again. Apparently he's turned a corner and with good behavior. It could be 2 to 3 months where he doesn't have to be accompanied by an adult. He has no relatives or friends that live near the kids and his main familiar is in Scotland. And his kids are 250 miles away from Scotland if he moved up there, so it makes sense to be done where near. At the moment he's in a hotel nearby. So the only person who can accompany him until he's been a good boy is my girlfriend, his ex. So he came out on Thursday and saw his kids Friday, which I didn't know about. My girlfriend rang me today and we got talking, and as I'm at work, I asked her what she was doing today. She said she is going to ask her ex if he wants to go for a walk. So I said that's a bit weird. Then she said it's with the kids. I told her I'm not happy with the situation but understand it. On Friday he went to her house and had Chinese with the kids. She wasn't going to tell me about him going to the house, and it was only until I asked a few questions I managed to get it out of her that he had a Chinese with the kids, and she said she didn't sit with them. I told her the situation is weird. I told her I didn't think he should be at hers, period, and she should accommodate him somewhere else. It's her daughter's birthday next week and they are all going out together for the day, for an hour or so, yes, but all day, I'm not sure about that. I'm unhappy with the situation. I do get what's happening. I've not shouted or lost my temper. I just find it weird that they are spending all that time together and not just limited time to accommodate the kids. She's told me she would rather be ironing but he wants to see the kids. But am I overreacting, being upset and curious? Thoughts on what to do appreciated. Personally, I feel like telling her we need a break until it sorts itself out. If it doesn't, then it was the right decision. TLDR, ex's husband has come around and not sure what time due.
OP, I want you to spend just a mere 10 minutes looking around here on Reddit or even other websites. Men in your situation almost always ends up in the very same situation, getting cheated on with the ex because your time as a temporary ATM is now over. She's already keeping their meetings a secret from you, OP. It's already begun. And now for today's final story. Please help me understand my wife. Posted by Reddit user The Butt of a Hamster.
Hi guys, the gist is that my marriage isn't well. Since we've had our lovely little girl 4 years ago, our relationship went from a decade-long honeymoon phase to something I consider a bit of hell. I realize I may be exaggerating as I've been treated for depression for years. I'm on good meds though. What I'm asking here is not for anyone to tell me I'm a victim and my wife is some kind of abuser. I want to understand her and maybe come up with some strategies to cope and make this marriage work. I can't afford counseling right now. I love my daughter to death, and I want her parents to be together and be good to each other. Also, I do love my wife, even when I hate her sometimes. The problems from my point of view. 1. The lying and gaslighting. My wife lies a lot. During arguments, every other sentence that comes out of her mouth is a lie. Like stuff that happened 3 minutes ago, didn't happen or happened differently. History is rewritten not only days after, but hours and minutes after. She lies compulsively, also when she doesn't need to. I'm not suggesting any infidelity. That's not her thing. It's more about who did and said what, to the point of time and space being bent. I have this thought that if we lived in a reality where everything is recorded all the time and can be easily and instantly played back, her reality would crumble, because she lives in a fantasy world, a multiverse really, and she's extremely good at this. She is a therapist with 2 degrees and she really has the upper hand on me. I don't know how to talk to her anymore. She talks circles around me. Everything, yes, everything I say that doesn't align with what she believes or wants is instantly and aggressively, but with a polite, fake smile, is pointed out as me starting an argument, being a downer, or cranky all day and looking for a fight. And most things that happened either didn't or happened differently, even if it was minutes ago. 2. The control and micromanagement. Well, most things she says to me are requests of some kind, to do something differently, to do something in a certain way, to fetch her something, a lot of this. I've made some notes a couple of months ago. I counted every request and instruction against a non-request for 5 days and ended up with an 85% ratio. With one day when I haven't heard one single thing that wasn't her asking me to do something for her, not a word of casual conversation. And I don't mean chores. We do those organically. I mean random stuff, like handing her stuff or running an errand or finding something. 3. The capital C control. I don't get to raise my child as an equal. I'm constantly corrected, coached, taught, and contradicted in front of my daughter. I don't make decisions. My wife even regularly changes my daughter's clothes after I have dressed her. When she's going shopping, she tells me what games me and my daughter should play and tries to either make us stay home on a whim or picks a place we should go. I do not comply. I usually assert myself, but quite often this ends up with what I described in point number 1. 4. I don't have anything interesting to say. Anytime I try to make casual conversation, I'm being cut off or she just doesn't engage. Like, she doesn't shrug or roll her eyes, but it's close, and that doesn't depend on the topic. I avoid talking about music because she doesn't like music at all. I'm a musician, but stuff like I saw this funny vid. Or did you know that they are working on an eye scraping protection software? Or oh, I didn't know Gallegos are primates. Stuff like this is not worth a minute-long, casual conversation, ever. On some days the conversation is being hijacked and steered towards the things she's mostly interested in. Real estate mainly, a bit of politics maybe, which is a slippery slope because we have different political leanings. But on most days, she's not interested in having a casual conversation at all. I've been upfront with her about all this. She won't hear it, like at all, and we're back to number 1. Oh, almost forgot. 5. She's never wrong. Never apologizes. Never admits having done anything irrational. She's never out of line. Her every action and word are an objectively optimal reaction to a difficult situation caused by someone else, mostly me. And I believe this to be a decision. She once told me that she's done with apologizing to anyone, but especially me. And when she's late most times to an appointment, it's either my fault or when I'm not around. Then she's not responsible for managing the emotions of other people, meaning those who wait for her. I feel trapped in an endless cycle of this. I need to change something, come up with a solution. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to talk to her at all. I'm looking forward to reading your suggestions and comments. Please don't be mean or cruel. I'm human and I'm not well.
Well, based on what I just read, it sounds like that you're a complete fucking pussy. That's why you're getting treated like shit. OP, she doesn't care about you and certainly doesn't love you and probably never has. You have always been a resource to her, an asset for her to use to obtain the things that she wants. She just needs you to do the small, meager task for her. If you don't do those, or if you don't do them correctly, then what does she need you for? To her, you're just like an intern who isn't doing their job right. When are you going to realize that? Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.